Hi guys, Ben from A&B here. We've got Herman Sheep from Trek Bicycles here. He's been in a bit of isolation here in Australia, and while he's been here, he's decided to drop in and make sure that everything's okay for the 2021 Trek Slash. Herm's also reminded me while he's here in his isolation, we've got to do our COVID safe stuff, so a bit of hand sanitizer on there. All right, let's jump straight into it. 2021 sees some really big changes to the Slash. Trek sat down with their factory race team, product developers they have in the field, engineers, and went through some feedback that the public gave them as well from the previous models. The 9.9 that we have here is the top of the line model, but the geometry and features on the 9.9 carry across all levels in the carbon frame, including the alloy ones. So the alloy one's been totally updated as well. One of the big things that you'll actually see across the carbon frames and the alloy frame, which is a really big deal, is that you're going to get in-frame storage. So the bottle cage comes off, there's a little lunchbox in there, comes with a nice neoprene sleeve that you can throw some tools and a tube and things like that in. Trek also went to slightly different suspension design, still using the ABP, but they've just adjusted the position of the shock to allow for full-size bottles in most frame designs with the piggyback, and also to allow for a little bit better suspension kinematics as well. The Super Deluxe you see here comes across all models. It's actually still running the through shaft technology that Trek already use, and RockShox make this shock for them. The tunes on the shock have been done specifically around this, so technically what you're getting is a custom built shock. The shock was designed with RockShox directly for the Slash. And I know I keep saying custom built, custom tune, all that sort of stuff. That doesn't mean you can't run another shock in there. The only other shock that Trek told us wouldn't fit in there is a standard Super Deluxe Air. And that's because of the adjusters being on the piggyback, which is what they've done to move in their version of the Super Deluxe Air. The 2021 Trek Slash goes up against some other great bikes in this category. The Santa Cruz Mega Tower, the Canyon Strive, Specialized Enduro, and the new Kona Process X. Okay, now I just want to jump into geometry. That's not Herm's biggest foray, so he's taking a bit of a back step. What you probably noticed straight away that this isn't like one of those new Euro bikes we've been seeing out that's super long, super steep seat tube, super slack. Trek recognise this. They've said that their new geometry isn't crazy progressive, but it is very progressive for them. I think they've actually done a pretty good job, to be honest. Seat tubes come forward a little bit, head angles raked out a little bit, wheelbase has gotten a fair bit longer. You'll actually see the reach going anywhere between 10 to 30 mils in difference between the sizes. They've brought across the medium-large size that they introduced on the alloy frame a couple of years ago. You've got a slightly longer rear end, but it's not too long. We actually found that the back end was still quite easy to wheelie, to manual, to pull through turns and things like that. The new offset on some of these 38mm forks that Fox and RockShox are bringing out really helps with some of the handling as well. So that's a 44mm offset fork there. With the lengthening in the frame, Trek went around based it around a 35mm stem. Previously, the other models that you had were all based around a 50mm stem. Trek also changed the knock block. You probably can see that there is no protection on the down tube for the fork impact, whereas previously with the knock block, they required that with the straight shot down tube that they had. We've got a carbon handlebar provided by Bontrager. It's very wide, 820 wide, measured 830 with grips on there. 2021 componentry. We're still running with the code brakes. We're seeing a threaded bottom bracket move into the Slash range. That's complemented by the dub system from SRAM on the Exo carbon crank. Moving further to the back of the bike here, we've got SRAM's new Eagle with a 52 tooth rear cassette on the rear. You're back, mate. All good? Rounding up the componentry here on the 2021 Trek Slash, and I think Herm will agree that carbon wheels, big plus. So you've got the Line Elite carbon wheel on there. Bontrager have come out and said that is the strongest wheel that they have tested to date. So it's really good to see a wheel like that coming into this category for a lot more reliability. So with a lot of these new enduro bikes, the climbing position is a big selling point and what people push a lot, along with the pedaling as well. Slid forward seat tube makes a massive difference. I think I've done a great job there. Definitely ridden some bikes that have got a lot more, let's call it aggressive seat tube, being steeper. Sometimes they can make you feel like you're really sitting on top of the bike, which is a bit of an odd feeling, and you do get used to it. But I definitely like what Trek have done here. Another thing is the pedaling performance on here. So there's a lockout, we used it. Not afraid to say that, but didn't use it that often. More so you'd be using it if you were at a race trying to conserve energy, you're doing a big ride out with your friends all day and things like that. It was actually really easy to forget to use it and just finish at the end of a trail, everyone regroup, and you go off riding again. It's the sort of thing that you would probably halfway up the trail, I've got a lockout, and just reach down and flick it over. So that's actually a pretty good thing. We also spoke to Trek about the use of 27.5 wheels versus 29-inch wheels. They were pretty adamant that if you want to use a 27.5 wheel, you should go a Remedy, that the 29-inch wheel is the faster of the two wheel sizes, and they spend a lot of time developing the bike around a full 29-inch frame. They've definitely done a great job. You do feel a lot more in the bike than on the bike than you had in the past. The old one with the really slack seat tube, you felt like you're really riding behind the bike. So it's very, very stable, and it's one of those things that makes you feel really, really confident. From a racing point of view, like you just feel faster straight away. On the first run, we felt faster on this bike. And that was one of those things that the suspension has done here, working in collaboration with RockShox and the other manufacturers to make it all work, is that all of that negative feedback that you get from the bike is just not coming into the rider. So the rider stays very, very composed. You do see the arms and legs moving around, but it's the torso and the head that isn't getting thrown around, so your vision isn't getting distorted, and you can really just keep pushing for that line. It's a great thing. There are quite a few brands out there that are getting this sort of really nailed down, but it's great to see that one of the big mass production companies like Trek have got this really sorted. So in conclusion, 2021, Trek Slash, they've done a great job. You've got to hand it to the guys at Trek. They got a fair few awards when they released the original Slash. It's been a long time coming. Some people got excited about the revision to the alloy Slash a couple of years ago, which we tested and we liked the changes, but we wanted more. And we think they've done a really good job. What they've done, the easiest way to describe the new Slash is a balanced bike. They've delivered a balanced bike. You can set it up for if you want to just go ride bike parks, if you want to race, or if you just want a bigger bike because you like to ride those sort of rougher, gnarlier, steeper trails. They've done a really good job with it. Specking wise, a few little gripes. You can see here this itty bitty chainring here. It's a 30. It's pretty small. You can get down to a 28, and we understand that this is Australia. We don't have these big mountains. And when we do get big hills, we try and go where there's going to be uplifts or a chairlift. Would have liked to send a bigger chainring on the front. The maximum chainring size you can fit on here is a 34, which is pretty good. A 34 is pretty much a sweet spot for a lot of people, but again, we don't have those big hills like they do in Europe and America, and there's probably a few guys out there that would want to run a 36. And the other thing that we had a little bit of a gripe with is the rotor sizing that we mentioned earlier. The frame's definitely designed to take bigger rotors front and back, but they're sort of the only real gripes. Definitely cut your handlebars down if you're only a wee guy like myself. Otherwise you might sort of find that you're riding around holding the broom handle. But really, they've done a great job. Suspension front to back, delivering that balanced feel that we mentioned earlier, and really sort of helping you elevate yourself and your riding. There's a number of models that are coming into Australia here. We've got a fair few alloy ones, a few carbon ones, and it's really exciting to see. There's also going to be a few colors. You're going to see these in Project 1. So for those of you that have got some great parts at home and you want to do a frame upgrade and you're really excited about the new Slash, take a look at the Trek's Project 1 site, go nuts, make something crazy, have a great time, and thanks for watching.